All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. We're about to pick your feedback in just a bit at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. But let me begin with a conversation that we said it's an exclusive report on details of the agreement signed by leaders of parties affiliated to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance that is led by Deputy President William Ruto. So the full text of the agreement seen by Citizen TV details a post-election power-sharing plan by Kenya Kwanza that includes creation of a position equivalent to that of the defunct office of the Prime Minister. The Kenya Kwanza agreement states that an office to be named Prime Cabinet Secretary would be created. Power in government. The Kenya Kwanza agreement also allocates positions to Ford Kenya party leader Moses Wetangula, who is proposed for the Speaker of the National Assembly, Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi for the Senate Speaker, and reserves one cabinet position for Maendeleo Chapchap to be taken by Governor Alfred Mutua should Ruto be elected the president. The agreement, however, sets terms for these allocations, with Mudavadi and Wetangula being required to deliver 70% of the presidential vote in 5 Western Kenya counties to William Ruto. Mutua is required to deliver 35% of the Ukambani presidential vote to Ruto, while Kingi has a 50% threshold to deliver to the Deputy President in Kilifi County. Citizen TV's political editor Francis Gashuri now walks us through the detailed Kenya Kwanza agreement authored by the Tharaka Nithi senator and lawyer Kindiki Kithure.
Details of the Kenya Kwanza coalition agreement reads like a return on investment, reap what you sow power sharing deal. The elaborate primary document drawn by the Tharaka Nithi Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki was deposited with the Registrar of Political Parties on Sunday night, just before the deadline for coalitions of political parties to outline how they will relate before, during and after the general election, as well as power sharing and government structures should they clinch the presidency. In the power structure outlined in the Kenya Kwanza coalition agreement, the presidential flag bearer position is reserved for United Democratic Party UDA, headed by Deputy President William Ruto. The running mate slot is also preserved for UDA and specifically for the Mount Kenya region. Save for the names of potential candidates, this geolocation hint is expected to end any further speculation on the Ruto running mate question. The Kenya Kwanza power deal allocates Amani National Congress ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi the Prime Cabinet Secretary slot if Ruto clinches the presidency in the August State House race. The National Assembly Speaker's seat is reserved for Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula and his Ford Kenya party. According to the Kenya Kwanza coalition agreement, the Senate Speaker slot is allocated to Pamoja African Alliance leader Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi, who defected to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance over the weekend. The coalition agreement provides for a cabinet of 21 ministers that will be shared out in line with the pact. In the Ruto power structure, Mudavadi and Wetangula will be allocated 30% of the appointive government positions should Kenya Kwanza win in the August polls. This includes the Prime Cabinet Secretary and 6 Cabinet Secretary slots, National Assembly Speaker, and priority development projects in Western Kenya region. To secure these plum slots, Mudavadi and Wetangula are required to deliver at least 70% of the Western Kenya votes that will be cast in the August presidential race. The 5 counties of Kakamega, Bungoma, Vihiga, Busia and Trans Nzoia, which is administratively under Rift Valley region but politically part of the Western Kenya region, have a combined total of 2.5 million registered voters. Part of the priority development projects negotiated by Mudavadi and Wetangula in the coalition agreement includes completion of all incomplete or stalled bitumen roads, 1,000 kilometers of new bitumen roads, and resources to revive and modernize sugar factories such as Mumias and Nzoia. Such projects are, however, subject to consideration alongside other development priorities in other parts of the country. Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi, who ditched Azimio la Umoja One Kenya team for Ruto's Kenya Kwanza, has negotiated for the Senate Speaker slot in the coalition agreement signed on Sunday night. He also secured a political promissory note for his supporters' appointment to top management positions at the Kenya Ports Authority, KPA. The agreement schedule, however, requires Kingi and his Pamoja African Alliance PA to secure for Ruto at least 50% of the presidential votes cast in Kilifi County in the August State House race. Kilifi County has 582,631 registered voters. In the agreement, Kingi's party will also be supported by the coalition in the race for Malindi, Magarini, Ganze, Rabai and Kaloleni parliamentary seats. Mutua's Maendeleo Chapchap negotiated for one cabinet secretary slot in a ministry relevant to infrastructure or public utilities such as energy or water in the Kenya Kwanza government if Ruto wins in the August presidential race. If Mutua misses the ministerial flag, he will settle for a fallback plan of being nominated to either the National Assembly or Senate, where he will become the majority or minority leader in either of the houses. He must, however, garner for Ruto at least 35% of the presidential votes cast in 3 counties of Ukambani, Machakos, Kitui and Makueni that have a combined voter population of 1.7 million people. It is an area considered a stronghold of Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who is jostling for the running mate slot in the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party.
Very good.
On the structure of government, the Kenya Kwanza Coalition Agreement outlines and demarcates functions of the Deputy President and the proposed position of Prime Cabinet Secretary. The Deputy President, according to the agreement, will chair all cabinet committees, oversee implementation of cabinet decisions, coordinate relations between the national and county governments, coordinate planning and supervision of projects and programs funded by development partners, coordinate constitutional commissions and independent bodies in matters that require national government intervention, and undertake any other functions assigned by the President. On the other hand, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, who will be appointed through an executive order within 14 days if Kenya Kwanza clinches the presidency, will be allocated 5 functions, top among them assisting the President and the Deputy President in coordination and supervision of government ministries and state departments, overseeing implementation of national government policies, chairing and coordinating government legislative agenda across all ministries and state departments for transmission to Parliament through leadership of both houses, as well as coordinating and supervising the technical monitoring and evaluation of government policies and projects. Other than the 3 prime constituent members of the coalition, Kenya Kwanza has 11 other associate parties and is seeking more to sign up through the provision of post-election coalitions. According to the general agreements signed between the 3 Kenya Kwanza founder parties and additional member parties, the 11 parties, among them DP, Tujibebe, TSP and Chama cha Kazi, will be allocated a share of the government based on their contribution, including the number of parliamentary and county seats garnered. The coalition's highest decision-making organ, the Party Leaders Forum, will be chaired by Ruto, with Mudavadi and Wetangula as members. Francis Gashuri, Citizen TV.
All right, let me bring in Bobby Mkangi on this. Bobby Mkangi is a constitutional lawyer. He's joining us online now. Bobby, what do you make of this structure that is now out?
Yes. Thank you for having me, and sorry I could not join you in the studio. I'm joining you remotely because of earlier scheduling. Well, one thing is for sure, and it's coming out, and I think earlier my colleagues, my brother Maanza was speaking to this on and I think Gashuri in his analysis that you just listened to, that for the formations, both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, and the way we've seen the different political interests in terms of personalities, parties, regions, and even religions, and aspects of gender, trying to percolate and join together. There was definitely going to be the issue of how positions are shared out, how the different formations are going to meet or promise to meet the interests of each and every of these sectors. So first, commenting on the issue of Kenya Kwanza, did speak earlier to and criticize Azimio, and especially during the history of BBI, in terms of trying to add positions, and especially so within the executive. I think that was going to happen to any of these formations, and because of the reasons I've given, when you look at the multiplicity of interests that were going to be or needed to be satisfied. So they could not escape this route. I think the only difference is that for Azimio, they sought to do this through constitutional amendment, that the positions, or if I may call it the organogram, that they were thinking of in terms of Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, and the other slots, they wanted to entrench this in the Constitution. What I haven't heard, or from the analysis thus far, is that for Kenya Kwanza, yes, some of these positions are going to be created, but not touching the arrangement within the Constitution. And as when we look at the Constitution, we see that the president does have the powers to, create and allocate portfolios within his or her cabinet. And as long as he or she is within the strictures of the numbers, at least 14 and maximum of 22, how he or she organizes that organogram, how he or she allocates the positions and names the portfolios, is really up to the president. And I think this is what we are seeing coming out with Kenya Kwanza. So the first difference being that this is strictly a political arrangement. I think still very much within what the Constitution calls for, but does not seek to amend or rehabilitate the Constitution in whatever way, so as to accommodate these positions.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Prof, what do you make of this arrangement? Because it's a situation you're both going to face on both sides. I mean, the Kenya Kwanza team has kept saying it's not all about positions, and then there's this arrangement. But even on your side, Azimio, there was still going to be arrangements, right?
I think what emerges from this arrangement, that clearly you need positions to satisfy different players within the coalition framework. That is the first thing. And that Kenya Kwanza has gone ahead to allocate or to promise specific players within the coalition or principals various positions, of course, with conditions that I almost see as impossible to meet. I do not think, and I can speak on top of my head right here, I do not think that His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, and His Excellency the leader of Ford Kenya, Moses Wetangula, can garner the 70% vote in Western Kenya for His Excellency Dr. William Ruto. I do not think that is possible, because the Western Kenya is the bedroom of Baba. We always say that he has such strong support within the ODM party, and he has generals out there. Remember, that is where we have the Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Oparanya. He is from Western, from Kakamega, the backyard of Mudavadi. There's no way, I can tell you, that Mudavadi would be able to galvanize 70% of the vote in Kakamega and beat Oparanya and his generals. There are several other members of parliament and local leaders within Kakamega who ascribe to the philosophy of ODM, which is, as you know, is a national philosophy. If you go to Bungoma, again, we have strong stalwarts in Bungoma. I do not think that it is possible. Remember, Bungoma is where we also have Eugene Wamalwa, and we also have the other coalition member of Azimio, a strong political party as well. You know that we are going to capture Nzoia for Trans Nzoia County, for instance. We're going to, the governor of Trans Nzoia is going to be the former county commissioner. Now, clearly, what I'm saying is that those conditions almost count for nothing in terms of whether they're unachievable. The threshold set are unachievable.
And do you think that is where the deal breaker will be? Because then...
That is where the deal breaker will be, because clearly Dr. William Ruto is giving a condition to these players. He's telling them, you are purported to be strong members of Kenya Kwanza. Deliver.
Yeah.
And I think if Kithure Kindiki is the one who crafted this agreement, and I know him very well, I think this is extremely cheeky. He's a very intelligent man. I know him.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, and if you compare that to, again, the conditions set for Mutua, again, those are unachievable.
Yeah.
I do not think that His Excellency Governor Mutua can galvanize 35% of the Ukambani vote. Especially if we get Kalonzo Musyoka as a running mate, I can tell you that is unachievable. I'm sure Manzo will speak to that. But again, even in terms of the Kilifi governor, I think Kilifi is a tall order. Yesterday I watched Baba and speak to the people of Kilifi.
Yeah.
And you could see this mammoth crowd cheering to Baba and urging him on. Clearly, Amason Kingi could have goofed. I do not think that he's on the ground as much as individuals or players like Mamad Zayo, who are running for positions in Kilifi County. I do not think that he would beat Governor Mungaro and galvanize the 35% of vote that is expected of him. Okay. So in my view, this is a clever agreement, crafted by a clever person, in this case, Professor Kithure Kindiki. I think it leads the leaders on. Tell them the prize is here.
Yeah.
It is so far yet, Sonia. This is what I call an abracadabra moment, where you're given something and you know that it is impossible to achieve.
Okay. Manzo?
Yes, I've looked at this and it's very interesting. And I think Professor Kindiki was being very, very cheeky. Yeah. For Honorable Kingi, my classmate in the university, to get 50% of the votes in that count now is really, really a tall order. And I said, especially if the running mate of Honorable Raila Odinga is Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka does a lot of work in the coast and many other parts of the country. And it is how now we played it in Azimio Oka is what is going to kill this. It's ridiculous for Musalia and Wetangula. And even these prime CS, even if it's an executive order, I still think it's challengeable in court. An executive order cannot change the structure of government. So you'll be given a big name, but the functions are just of an ordinary minister. And you still have to run around, without the powers you purport to have. So I think Honorable William Ruto remains at the top. Yeah. He pushes these people to give him the vote. But if you don't achieve this, then other people are likely to come and talk over from you. So
are you seeing a potential fallout?
Yes, a very big one.
After elections, say this was the condition, you didn't meet it. So
if you didn't meet it, sorry, and the election is over. You have already been used and dumped. So it's really a tall order for them, and it's quite ridiculous. But again, it depends on how Azimio Oka organizes itself. Yeah. If Azimio Oka has a better deal, and the best deal for them is Honorable Raila Odinga for president, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka for deputy, and Martha Karua for the National Assembly. Because it's going to be a very difficult parliament. It's not going to be easy. And again, we must be very careful in terms of the members of parliament. If you can become president without members of parliament. Yeah. You are only forced into a handshake. Because you cannot move, you cannot appoint a speaker. The speaker will automatically belong to the other side. Yeah. And then you cannot appoint ministers. You can't move. So one of the things, despite arranging the power arrangement at the top, the members of parliament are very key to invest in for the presidential candidate. Okay. The moment you miss out on that, then you are in trouble. And I'm really pleading with Honorable Raila Odinga. The only way to clean out William Samoei Ruto and his party UDA and even the Kenya Kwanza coalition to clean it out completely in many parts of the country is having our usual structure with him. Allegedly, we won the election as CORD, we won the election as NASA. what will stop us winning the election as Azimio Oka.
Okay.
Meaning Azimio Oka.
Yeah.
Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka.
Bro.
Can I add? There's one thing that sticks out, Trevor. The alleged coalition agreement or framework was deposited with the Registrar of Political Parties on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we know the plays that have gone on for Kingi, Honorable Amason Kingi, Governor, and Governor Mutua. It seems as though there were dealings before, prior to what we have seen in the public. So it means that Governor Kingi and Mutua were perhaps negotiating with the Kenya Kwanza lands before all this went on. And I think this coalition framework also presents a possibility that if His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga presents a better deal to the two other principals, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi and Honorable Wetangula, then he could also have an underhand deal. Yeah. It is too much happens behind the scenes. Yeah. And that is the trick of this coalition that I think Mans was alluding to, that it is possible. Yeah. A handshake is a possibility as we move on to the election. Okay. And arrangements that we do not see are a possibility. The confusion, and this is perhaps a question that Mans has raised, the provisions of Article 38 of the Constitution, that you have a coalition member, now you have Governor Kingi and His Excellency Mutua being told that under Section 22 of the Azimio Coalition Agreement, you cannot bolt out 6 months into the election or without 6 months notice, and or 3 months after the election. That means you are stuck with the coalition. Yes, yet at the same time, they are seen campaigning with the other coalition. Yeah. Of course, you cannot force a marriage, and I think Mutua is right on this, that you cannot compel me out of conscience, out of choice, out of association, as duly protected by the Constitution. You cannot force me to associate or to politic in my conscience for someone else. Yeah. That means you will have the possibility of coalition members campaigning for other coalitions, seeking votes for other coalition members. You could have members of Kenya Kwanza also in the night seeking votes for Azimio and vice versa. Yeah. A clear Asterix Obelix moment.
Okay. Bobby, is that the way you read it as well?
Sorry, come again.
Is that the way you read this issue of the fiasco that Professor is talking about, that it is almost like a gap in the law of some sorts, whereby now politicians from either side are allowed to campaign for the opposing coalition?
Yes, and I think, first of all, thank you for alluding to Asterix and Obelix, one of my favorite cartoon strips. And I think to that issue, it shows you the complexity of political negotiations in this country, and especially for this election, that as I was saying earlier, trying to do the balancing act and ensure that all interests are catered for. And it's not new. We've seen it before in other election cycles, coming out differently, where candidates are in particular parties, and when during primaries they are thrown out, we see them jumping ship, either as independent candidates or moving to other formations. We've seen this happening within Parliament itself, when particular parliamentarians belong to a certain formation or a political party, but are singing the chorus for the other side. So in terms of the sincerity of negotiating and whether the word is bond for those who sign these agreements, I think this is neither here nor there. It's not something that is strikingly new for Kenyan politics. And what the previous speaker said, that definitely some of these personalities were signing, but during the night probably renegotiating. I think that was the case. And unfortunately, I think, yes, on paper, they do remain as members of, and because of the terms, they remain members of, say, Azimio. But as we know, the politics of this country, it's a matter of pointing towards a certain direction and for the followership to follow. So in conduct and in behavior, they have indicated that in as much as on paper they belong to or adhere to a certain formation, behaviorally, their conduct and what they're going to do henceforth is going to be different. So in as much as technically and legally, say, Azimio may want to follow this further through the relevant authorities and institutions, I think the reality and the effect of the pronouncement of these political leaders, and especially so to their membership, is already given. Maybe before I close, I would like to say two things to the formations or to the agreements. I think that the more important thing Kenyans may want to look at also is beyond the division of portfolios and positions for certain political leaders. Kenyans may want to interrogate and find out what is in it for them in these deals. What percentage of the so-called national cake do these formations seek to provide for Kenyans? What are the projects that Kenyans will be seeing on the ground? I think these agreements should also speak to that, so that we are not just left to the issue of certain personalities being satisfied with the promises of certain senior state offices. So I think that is very important. And the other thing probably is to find out also this pegging of these positions to the number of votes to be delivered. What happens when, for instance, if it is Kenya Kwanza that wins, but these particular leaders do not deliver the pegged number of votes in the agreement? So do they still, enjoy or get to these positions, or that will be revised? I think those are some of the things that are coming out to me, whether we're going to find some better clarification as we move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, but Bobby, let's talk about one thing that has also been a thorn in the flesh, so to speak, the 2/3 gender rule. In fact, the IEBC has even written to the Registrar of Political Parties on this so that they comply with that. Is it time then that the top front runners consider a female running mate so that it starts right from the top as it cascades down?
Most definitely. I think this would have been a brilliant opportunity and a facility for these leaders, these senior leaders and formations, to show that they have entrenched their politics and the future of this country, to ensuring that this position and 2/3 gender rule is effected. So I think. In having lady, principal assistants or running mates, because now we obviously know who the presidential candidates are going to be, would have been an excellent gesture. And I think as of now, as of right, I think that's how we should be running issues in this country. So as we move forward and as the courts are pronounced and as the IEBC has said it's going to try and very much and ensure that this is the case, I think it should not be a struggle for the politician, for the leadership to show that they're committed to ensuring that the 2/3 gender rule is effected in Kenya August 9th, 22, going forward.
Okay. Prof, I know this orders the court has suspended.